Garbers, another short throw across the middle, delivering a huge shot is Shiloh Sanders.
There are moments in sports when everything stops. When a stadium filled with noise suddenly goes silent. For Shiloh Sanders, that moment came at just 25 years old, when the NFL turned its back on him. Born into football royalty, Shiloh wasn't just any athlete. He was Deion Sanders' son, heir to one of the most iconic names in sports. From the moment he first touched a football, people expected brilliance. He had the swagger, the confidence, and the hunger to prove he could carry the Sanders legacy into the next generation. But no one expected his career to end this way. Not in disgrace, not in controversy, not with the whole world watching him fall. In August 2025, Shiloh Sanders walked into Raymond James Stadium wearing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers uniform, fighting for a starting spot. The preseason game against the Buffalo Bills was supposed to be just another audition, a chance to silence the critics who said he was only in the league because of his last name. But what happened that night would become one of the most talked about moments of the NFL season. It began with a routine play. The ball was snapped, the Bills' tight end Zach Davidson caught a short pass, and Shiloh, known for his speed and aggression, closed in for the tackle. The whistle blew, signaling the play was dead. But Davidson didn't stop. He kept driving forward, shoving Shiloh several yards past the line. Cameras caught the moment. Shiloh pushed back, tempers flared, and then came the strike. A slap, maybe a punch, no one can say for sure, but it hit Davidson's helmet, and instantly, flags flew across the field. The crowd gasped. Coaches screamed. And just like that, the referee's hand went up, personal foul, unsportsmanlike conduct. Shiloh Sanders was ejected. For most players, a single mistake like that might have ended with a fine or a public apology. But for Shiloh, it was different. He wasn't just another athlete. He was a lightning rod for attention, a young man whose every move was magnified because of who his father was. The moment he stormed off the field, the story was already being written. Deion Sanders' son loses control. Shiloh's temper ruins his shot. Another Sanders controversy. By the next morning, social media had exploded. The clip of the incident had gone viral, millions of views in hours. ESPN, Bleacher Report, and every sports page ran the footage on repeat. Some fans defended him, saying he was standing up for himself. Others called him reckless, undisciplined, and a disappointment to his father's legacy. But the biggest blow came from inside the building. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers released an official statement before noon. The organization has decided to part ways with defensive back Shiloh Sanders. We wish him the best in his future endeavors. Just like that, it was over. No suspension. No appeal. Just a clean cut. For Shiloh, the news hit like a freight train. He had spent years clawing his way into the league, from high school fame to college headlines, through injuries, criticism, and comparison. And now, in one night, it was all gone. Inside sources later revealed that Tampa Bay's coaching staff had been divided on him from the start. Some loved his energy and physicality. Others saw warning signs, temper issues, inconsistency, emotional outbursts during practice. The punch, or slap, whatever it was, gave the front office an excuse to walk away. The NFL, of course, stayed silent. But executives around the league whispered privately that Shiloh had hurt his stock beyond repair. Not because of the hit itself, but because of the pattern. There had been stories from college, sideline arguments, heated exchanges with referees, moments where the pressure seemed to crush him. And then there was his father. Deion Sanders had built an empire on charisma and control. Prime time was the embodiment of showmanship, loud, confident, but always in command. When news broke about his son's release, Deion stayed quiet at first. But silence, in this case, said more than words ever could. Reporters camped outside Colorado's training facility, hoping for a comment. Days passed before Deion finally addressed the story, saying only, "We all make mistakes. But some mistakes you can't afford when your name is Sanders." That single line went viral. To some, it sounded like tough love. To others, it felt like a public disowning. Either way, the damage was done. Shiloh's reputation was no longer about football. It was about failure, anger, and control. Behind closed doors, sources close to the family say the fallout was brutal. Shiloh retreated from social media, stopped attending public events, and even missed a few family appearances. Rumors swirled that he had checked into anger management therapy, while others claimed he was considering a move to the CFL or XFL just to keep playing. But opportunities never came. Teams didn't want the spotlight, not the kind that follows a scandal. Every headline about Shiloh now came with the same tag: the player who threw it all away. Sports analysts began debating his downfall like it was a case study. Some said he was a victim of impossible expectations, a young man trying to live up to a father who was a legend in two sports. Others argued he had no one to blame but himself. They replayed the clip, dissected his posture, his expression, his history. It became less about football and more about personality, a public character assassination disguised as sports commentary. Yet, deep down, people were fascinated. Because Shiloh's story wasn't just about a punch, it was about what happens when talent, legacy, and pressure collide. He had grown up in the shadow of greatness, but also under the weight of it. Every tackle, every quote, every misstep, all compared to his father's perfection. And when the pressure finally broke him, the world didn't forgive. It never does. Weeks later, he was spotted working out privately in Texas. No cameras, no interviews, just drills under the hot sun. Some fans saw that as a sign of a comeback. Others thought it was denial. But those who knew him said one thing: he still loved the game, even if the game didn't love him back anymore.